Okay, welcome back. Let's do a quick little overview of zones of control. The whole concept of zones of control is that if we were to take a real life situation where we had two armies that were next to each other, they can walk around each other, but they couldn't leave only a foot between them and one enemy army past another enemy army without being attacked. You can only get so close to somebody without them either blocking your passage or attacking you. So that's the idea of zones of control, is the fact that my army is here and there's an enemy, or my unit is here and there's an enemy unit that is trying to walk right past me, and if you tried to walk within a foot of me, I would shift a foot to the left and block you. So the way that zones of control works, let's go ahead and bring up the grid here. So let's go ahead and look at the Explorer. Zones of control apply, I'm pretty sure, only to land units. They don't apply at sea or in the air. Every single tile around the unit, all the ones I'm tracing here with the mouse, every tile that your unit touches is what is called its zone of control. You cast your zone of control across these tiles. So the rule is that any enemy unit, any foreign unit, not even just enemy, but any foreign unit that is inside of your zone of control may not move into another tile of your zone that's in your zone of control without first moving out. So what that means is that, let's look at the settler here. We see that he is indeed in the explorer's zone of control. So he cannot move to this tile. He cannot move over to this tile because that will be moving from a tile that's within a zone of control into another tile that's also within my zone of control. Now, what he could do is he could move down here to this mountain to where he's no longer in my zone of control and then move up, because that's not moving directly from a tile that's within my zone to another tile that's within my zone. Move out and around, but he cannot move straight there. The same applies over here. He cannot move straight here, as within my zone of control. He can move out and over. So this prevents units from unrealistically being able to just walk right past each other, when in reality, the army would just move, X amount of distance over to the side to block the passage of that unit. So zones of control are not limited to just a single unit. For example, if we had another unit that was somewhere over here nearby, or let's actually say that this tile right here, this plains up here, let's say that there was a different nation who was there. Now, this unit would be casting a zone of control to these tiles, as well as the other tiles that we can't see that are hidden in the undiscovered area. But so these would be a part of that unit's zones of control. Now, this settler is not currently in the zone of control of this imaginary unit from another nation, not either of ours that we're talking about, that is posted at the mouse cursor. However, that unit, since the settler is within my explorer zone of control, he also cannot move up one tile to that desert right here that would be in the zone of control of this unit. It's not limited to just one unit. Just because you're in one unit's zone of control doesn't mean that you can move to a tile that's in another unit's zone of control because he's from a different nation, or because it's a different unit of the same nation. Zones of control are zones of control. You cannot move from any zone of control to any other tile that's within a zone of control. So that's something to keep in mind. Cities Cities do not automatically have their own zones of control. If there's a unit in them, then they do put out a zone of control, but if the city is empty, there's no zone of control for that city. Some of the exceptions to this rule are the fact that, of course, your own units' zones of control do not impede your own units. They can move straight through them. Explorers, diplomats, and spies, they ignore zones of control. So my explorer is within the settler's zone of control. However, he's one of the 3 units, the explorer, that ignores zones of control. He can just cut right through it and just move. The settler does not have that luxury. Just because settlers, diplomats, and spies ignore zones of control does not mean they don't put out a zone of control. So the zones of control are incredibly useful for blocking passage of enemy units. So we've been looking at this really fruitful area down here where the mouse is. And he obviously, the enemy, obviously wants to try to capitalize on that, to get down there and make that part of his land. But we don't have, it's going to take us another 2 turns to be able to build a city down there where we want to. And he's headed for it, and we don't have military units out there. But by using the zone of control of this explorer, because settlers can't attack, they can only defend. Just like explorers cannot attack, they can only defend. I can use his zone of control to prevent him, the settler, from headed down that direction. So if I now was to move him down here, there, I have once again, I've prevented him from moving all the way down there. And in fact, where he was here, the settler could not move this tile. But he can move down here and then maybe try to wrap around. But by moving here, now he cannot move here, can't move here, can't move here. His only option is to leave my zone of control and walk around the desert, which would bring him over to this tile. In which case I can move back over to this mountain here and cut him off again. But I see this area down here. Maybe I can get down there with a settler. It's going to take a while, but why not try to block him off and do a little exploring at the same time? So I'm going to move to here. Now, he can't move here. As you can see, he's within my zone of control. He's in one of those tiles around me, that square that I'm at the center of. He can't move here because that's in my zone. He can't move here because that's in my zone. So he's going to have to head either that way, off to the side, and around. And as he moves, so too can I, and to move my zone of control to block his passage here. Now, zones of control, of course, do not prevent a unit from attacking you directly. Once you're in the zone, you can attack a unit. Settlers are in that kind of awkward situation, just like explorers, where they can't attack at all. So this is a great tactic to use to block settlers' way. Very different if that settler was accompanied by a military unit, which is also a good thing to do. Send your settlers out with some with something that packs a little bit of a punch, help defend it, and also kind of get rid of situations such as this. So that kind of wraps up zones of control. They're not particularly complicated. Sea units are not subjected to zones of control. Neither are air units. And the only exception to zones of control for land units, aside from the special units, the explorer, the diplomat, and the spy, if you have an alliance, not a ceasefire, not peace, but a full-blown alliance in the game, by using the diplomacy screen. If you have a full-blown alliance with another player, you ignore each other's zones of control. In fact, you can even stand on top of the same tile. So now you know a little bit about zones of control. If you find like, whoa, why can't I move my unit? There's some enemies nearby, but it's not letting me move on this tile. Maybe you're within a unit zone of control already, and where you want to move to is also inside a zone of control. Therefore, he cannot move to that tile. Understanding zones of control is incredibly important for the type of situation that we see here, as well as warfare. So, look over this video, make sure you understand this, and then also you can come up here, click on Help, and come down to Zones of Control and read through the details here. There are a few more exceptions that I have not spoken about, and they are all in here. I highly recommend reading through this to get those last couple exceptions. There are very important, honestly. Zones of control are a big part of this game. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. We'll keep it to a single topic for this video.